Okay, Bob Zatnex here. What a difference 1 year can make. Boy, have I had challenges. And everyone asks, why this, why that? And every story leads into 8 other stories. So I'm just so done telling the same stories over and over and over again. And no one believes it anyhow. If I tell the truth, they don't believe it. Blondie. If I lie, they don't believe it. If I leave out part of the truth, they don't believe it. So I'm done explaining myself to people. Okay, first things first. What's wrong with your foot? I fell off the barn here, shattered my heel like an egg because I went up on the roof like an idiot. Okay, do we got that story done? All right. Next item. I'm finally recovered, or almost. Welcome to paradise. My humble abode. Hard work has its rewards. You can do the work up front or do it in the end. Like the kids that ate the donut early that couldn't wait for 2 donuts. I fucking waited for the fucking donuts. Yeah, I have a problem with substances. I'm working on that. Who the fuck doesn't have a problem with food or anything else? So this is almost a week to the hour. 2 weeks. Day before Easter, Saturday. Blondie, over here. Come on. We're going to do a little tour. So anyhow, I comes here last Saturday. The house was being renovated. So no one was here. Half the doors were unlocked. I've had a history of burglary the last my life. I had a home invasion when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade over some hot coins. Anyhow, this court of public opinion, you can spread your lies, and they'll go around the world in a second, but the truth will come out eventually. But I'm beating the court of a public opinion because I'm getting the truth out first because I got the receipts on everything. I've been taking pictures since I came out of the womb. I got records, I got cell phone videos, I got video, I got witnesses. So anyone wants to call me to the court, go ahead. Bring me anytime. I got the frickin' receipts. So about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, there's some convicted felon here who was not authorized to be here. Okay? Left a big goddamn mess. Speaking of Blondie. Ava. Speaking of receipts. Where is it? Oh, let's see. Speaking of receipts, let's look at electronics components and manuals. I got my Denon receiver from 1985. I got the frickin' receipts on everything. My RCA 27-inch TV model, my DirecTV receiver. If I don't have the receipts, I can get them. So anyone wants to spread lies, gossip, or bullshit, innuendo, that shit works in the short term. But I got the receipts. I got the cell phone, I got the video, I got the tape. I got it all. So anyone thinks I owe them money, 12200 Point Douglas Drive South, send me a bill, and I'll lawyer up, because I got the best lawyer in the world, me. Mine got fired. Steve wants to go in there and plead it down, and then go out and have Manny's with the prosecutor while they circle pleasure each other off. And I get thrown under the bus with some frickin' sort of Damascules hanging over my head. So if I spit on the sidewalk, I do 98 days in jail. You know what? I don't give a fuck about jail at this point anymore. If someone takes care of my dog and don't leave me rotting in my fucking house, I don't give a fuck. I'll do 10 years standing on my fucking head. I'm working on my expletives. And you guys have seen my journey. What a journey. But you'll have to watch the full-length motion picture to get all the details. My lawyer says you can't tell too much at one time because, you know, it might incriminate yourself. And, you know, I run a little hot. And I make these accusations, innuendos, but is it metaphorical or is it literal? You know, because politicians do that all the time, you know. Well, I was just joking when I said Black Lives Matter can burn down the whole fucking city. And then they do. And Trump can say, gather and have a mostly peaceful protest. And Trump encouraged nuking the planet. So fuck that. I'm explaining myself up front. You think I'm fucking lying? You're fucking dying. Because I tell the fucking truth. Sorry, Lois. I'll tell you what. There's 3 people I can count on this world. My daughter, Denny, and Brownie. My son, I don't know. I love my son. He's been a puppet. Just like my daughter. She was played by my ex. Whatever. She is the way she is. And I know her better than she knows herself. And the reason she is why she is because she did everything right. She played by the rules. She drove a piece of shit escort her whole life. Or in high school, paid for her own college. Her father, who I admire and respect, has his foibles. I'll give you a couple examples. Which things that really... I can try not to get emotional. I'm an emotional guy because I've had an emotional year. It was Pam, Jenny, and her father. She said to him, you always criticized us. You never give us a compliment for what we did. And Paul looks around, he looks at Jenny, he looks at Pam, and he goes, well, a compliment? A compliment for what? And I looked at him and then around, I'm like, and I was just aback. There's not one fucking thing, or sorry, Lois, one thing they did in their life that didn't require acknowledgement or credit for what they did. They both worked hard. Pam got her CPA. They both drove the same piece of shit escort. Wow, it was a hard road to hoe. Anyhow, one other thing that really enlightened me with my ex. Excuse me. Brother spitting all and waste my energy on them. I said to her one time, I said, don't you hate it when you meet someone and you just don't like them right away? You just can't stand them. And you get to know them and they're like really cool. It's just like, well, that's never happened to me. I'm like, what? No, that's never happened to me. Like, how could that have not happened? Well, I'm usually a good judge of character. Well, no, really not. In my opinion, I'm not a psychologist. I'm only playing one on my YouTube channel. But that means you can't accept when you're wrong. Because a lot of times people we don't like are the best of ourselves or the worst of ourselves. They're our shadow, our dark self, or our successful self. I've met many people who I did not like at first. Drew, he was one person. Jeff Miller. I didn't want to name his name. Sorry, Jeff. But Jeff, you're a boss. He's a hustler. This kid has been going, or young man. And a lot of times, if you don't like somebody, it's probably something in yourself you don't like. Like my daughter had a perfect example. There's this girl named Skylar that she went to grade school with, who was energetic and like my daughter, lights up. She is just a burst of life. I mean, she is so vibrant. When she was little, I said, Sydney, you're going to be famous. And she's like, well, I don't want to be famous. I'm like, Sydney, you don't have a fucking choice. And so she went and pursued her career in LA. And I went and helped get her set up, which I was in a very, very dark place in my life. What's out there, Fraulein? I was in a very dark place in my life. So we moved to LA. I was in North LA, 12312 Sherman Avenue. I think it was 2017. I lived there for about a year. She lived there for 2 or 3 years. And she went to Stella Adler. And this girl, she is salt of the earth. And I'm a little hard on my daughter, because we're divorced, so you get the kids in the middle, and it's hard not to bring them into the wreckage. You play, and I'm trying to be as fair as I can. And I'm sick of naming names because they know who they are. Oh, Gary's car. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. Ava. Oh, so this is Joe. He lives over there. First time I met him, Shelly and I are walking down, checking out my property, which goes down to that little ravine down there. He's shooting a fucking BB gun at us. Well, that's a good meet. Anyhow. So, just walking the 40. You should have seen this place when I got it. It had been neglected. So this is the old Coomer place. Right across from the point. This man. Wow, what a man. And he's got his foibles. He was human. I don't know if anybody knows what this humanity thing is. You know, people are sinners and they've made mistakes, so you might want to notch that up to your, record book that, see, when I make a mistake, well, it's set in stone, cast for life. When they make a mistake, it's justified, So about 2 weeks ago, exactly 2 weeks ago, damn near to the frickin' hour, there was a convicted felon in my garage who I said could keep his stuff here and basically made the place his home. And anyhow, I'll spare the details for the movie. So I told him to leave. I felt threatened for my life, visited the neighbors, wanted to leave. I'm master at de-escalating. My daughter can vouch for this. If it wasn't for me, my daughter might be dead about 3 or 4 times, and she can tell you the story. Her and her road rage might get her in trouble. Don't flip them off. Someone might be having a real bad day. It ain't worth it. Anyhow, so I'm walking down that street over there. This guy's got chickens and a cock. He's got a real nice cock. Real fluffed up. Real puffy. Blondie. So anyhow, so I'm basically fleeing for my life. And you see where these guys developed that area and sold out. I'm not selling out. I'm leaving this property to my daughter. I'm leaving everything to my daughter. She can distribute it how she wants. I don't want any vultures coming in trying to scoop my shit. My daughter gets everything. Everything else, if you want something, come to her and be on your best behavior, because no one's getting shit unless she decides it. So this is my will. I'm going to Flugel Law next week. The other house, I'm not sure, is my Par 5. So anyhow, Blondie. Hey, Blondie, come on. So anyhow, what time we got? Anyhow, don't matter. I'm on 14 minutes. It's going to be a long one, but I know you don't like the portrait, but it's easier to videotape that way. And I'm just so sick of telling the same stories over and over, and all leads into the same one. And I run a little hot because I've been effed since I was born. Ava, get in the yard. Hey, 9. Get over here. Blondie. Come on. Ow. Heel acting up. Anyhow. So it was Officer, I believe his name was A. Freeman, and I think he was a rookie. He was Washington County. And you know, I don't care what the judge thinks. I could do 9 years standing on my head at this point. I really don't give an F. If my dog's taken care of, if my cats are fed and have water, which I've taken care of, because to rely on anyone else is an impossibility. I had to lean on a lot of people last year because I needed them when times were tough. And boy, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Oh boy, do they get going. They get going out and running away. But when the times are good, oh, hey, Ava, get in here. When the times are good, they just swoop in like vultures, and a realtor, WW, you know who you are, wolf in sheep's clothing, what a rat. Ugh. Hide behind the Bible. They're the worst type of humans on the planet. Anyhow, catch my breath. That's a good girl. Aren't you a good girl? Yep. So I'm walking down this street, fleeing for my life, basically, or what I think. Who knows? You don't know what's going on. See, that's the thing. In a crisis situation, people say run, hide, fight. Well, there are a couple of versions of that. Escalate, de-escalate, or get the fuck out of there. I usually choose the third or the second, but sometimes you gotta escalate to, if you're the nice guy all the time, you're gonna get walked on. To be loved or to be feared. Big difference. Well, you don't want to be either. You want to be in the middle. If they fear you, then that's the only reason you have power, is because they're afraid of something and you're going to get it in the end. If they love you, they're just going to walk all over you. So anyhow, I'm walking down, I guess it's Maycrest. I don't want to scratch my jacket a bit on here. So I'm walking down here and I see the cops coming, right up there. I put my hands on my head, turn around, totally comply. And Officer Freeman comes up, cuffs and stuffs me. A little on the rough side, so, you know, Washington County, you might want to delete your footage that you have in your garage or in the cell, because I was maltreated, and that's a fact, and I can get the receipts. Freedom of Information Acts. They tried to pull a freaking Epstein on me. Anyhow, whether you believe it, I don't give a F. So he picks me up, stuffs me in the car, a little rougher than he had to be, but hey, he's got to send his point. And let's just say Freeman, I got no beef with him. Once I'm in a car, you're going to get a fucking earful. I'm sick of BLM going around burning down the goddamn city, doing whatever the effer they want, and they arrest these poor white guys who get a DWI and do this fucking Intoxilock, which is a whole fucking racket, who's in bed with the government, because they're the easy target. And then they lose their license, so they got to go to work, so they drive after revocation, and then get another license and go back to fucking prison. Well, you got murderers and rapists getting out over and over, committing the same goddamn fucking crime. So I'm going into a lot here. And a lot of people are too fucking dumb or ignorant to understand it. So if you do, turn it off right now. Because I'm done explaining myself. Throw me in fucking prison for 10 fucking years and get it fucking over with. I'm done fucking explaining myself. So, long story short, I got neighbors here, this neighbor here. They pull my driveway. I got 8 fucking squads in my fucking driveway. It's the day before fucking Easter. I'm supposed to meet my frickin' daughter for church on Sunday. I go, do you know whose property this is? I go, look at the address. He's like, yeah. So, nice guys finish last. I went to jail. I spent Easter Sunday. My daughter came to my house. Thank God she has her whereabouts. She's like, oh, this ain't right. The cats are unattended. One of the cats sat there from Saturday to Monday, stuck in the garage. Probably would have fucking died of lack of water because it couldn't get in the house. I had pork chops on the counter. The fridge had died, or the short-circuited. The house smelled like a sewer's ass. A week later, all I needed was 400 lousy bucks to get out of frickin' jail. And these judgmental mofos, Jenny, Julie, George, I'm naming names. Don't ask me for a thing ever again. I'll be polite at the wedding if I'm invited. And if I'm not, I don't care. I'm done explaining myself. So all you people, you haters that threw me under the bus, all these contractors, I spent 3 days cleaning up the mess. The drywall guy, the patio guy, the roofer, the floorer, everyone else. They come in, they do the job, they leave a goddamn... It ain't my job to have a fucking set screw fucking wrench or a fucking Allen wrench or a drill bit or wipe your fucking ass. You come here, you work for me, motherfuckers. Capiche? So anyhow, the company you keep... Ow, nice. Don't do that, Ava. Oh, by the way, my windmill is going to be on the Fargo series, on one of the intros. Oh, coincidentally, on a lighter note, I remember when I watched Fargo for the first time. It was October 2nd, 1996. Now, why would I remember that date? Well, my son was just born, who I love, but he's about as stubborn as his mother. Believes everything goddamn word she says. And they were asleep. And Fargo came on, the movie, with Liam H. Macy. Wow, what a great movie. And Blondie, come on. And here it is, lights up at night. And Fargo comes on. And I watched this movie, and it blew me away. And I call it a comedy, a horror, a mystery. It's everything. And I call it a dark comedy because comedy is dark. That's that's how comedy works, is you point out the absurdity or the horrors, and you can laugh or you can cry. So anyhow, finishing up this... This is a good ending. So, I'm like, oh my God, we do not talk like that in Minnesota. We don't talk like that, you know. It's ridiculous. So I went to work. I was a drafter. So yeah, 94. Gary Robertson was the electrical engineer at a place called Weatherite, who, well, every business I leave usually collapses a few years later. Ava. So like, well, what are you doing this weekend, Gary? And Gary goes, well, you know, I'm heading down to Owatonna. Gonna do a little ice fishing. And then spring we might do some fly fishing there with the boys. And I looked at them and we're like, oh my God, we do talk like this.